Season 4 Reloaded has been officially revealed for Black Ops 6, bringing along new content, events, modes, and some honestly really strange additions in some areas. But today we're taking a look at what you need to know out of this reveal and what's on the way next week, Wednesday, July 2nd. So drop your thoughts, drop a like, and make sure to subscribe for more Black Ops 6 and other FPS coverage. I'd love to have you in the community, and make sure to follow over on Twitch to join in on the discussions live. But for now, let's get into it. So let's start out with the content itself and what is coming. Multiplayer, we have new and returning maps of Fringe as a 6v6 map and Eclipse, a 2v2 map, but it's a strike map, so you can play it at 6v6 as well for face-off. Fringe is the remaster and slightly reimagined in visual aesthetic return of Fringe from Black Ops 3, a classic that I think does look pretty good in the images they provided, a bit more colorful and green rather than the sandy color palette it had in Black Ops 3, though notably, if you played Black Ops 3, this won't have any of the wall jumping you may be used to, which is kind of odd given recent leaks that we've seen. People thought that the things we saw with wall running in Black Ops 6 were one of two things. Either one, it was Black Ops 7 mechanics in the game early, like part of the COD HQ, or it was part of an LTM that would be upcoming that I personally thought would fit perfectly with this map relaunching here at Season 4 Reloaded, but it doesn't appear that we'll get either of those. So a classic map, but with half the functionality behind the map's core design, is interesting, but it was a fun map, so I'm happy to see it return no less. Eclipse is a small, semi-symmetrical map for the face-off fans out there and gunfight fans out there, but this taking place in a nightclub, giving me somewhat club vibes from Plaza and Black Ops 2, and what I think would actually be perfect for a larger John Wick premium event instead of what we get here, as we'll touch on in a second. But all in all, it's a face-off map, not too much to it. Get ready for lots of fast-paced gameplay and likely camo grinding or camo grinding adjacent type gameplay. We're also going to be getting map variants with the seasonal offering, kind of taking what Sledgehammer did last year with some maps, and in the same vein as the variants we saw later in the year, we're technically getting more map updates here with the COD Tunes event and these sort of cel-shaded variants, but that's coming a bit later and isn't necessarily new content, but just like reframed content. Game mode, you're going to have Party Ops, which is returning, where you're going to have free-for-all with random sets of mini-games for the highest scores, players to duke it out over, and COD Tunes coming later in season, again, those cel-shaded maps being the playlist of that. Weapons, you're going to have the Olympia and the Pickaxe, both of these going to be available during the Beavis and Butthead event, the Olympia being the Beavis and Butthead Mastery Reward, while the Pickaxe is just available in the actual track for that. You have the weapon attachments coming of the SVD Full Auto mod and the TR2 CQB Auto Conversion, the SVD Auto mod coming in the Beavis and Butthead event, and the TR2 auto conversion coming in the COD Tunes event. Zombies, you're going to have grief updates, where you're going to have updates to grief with more effects against enemies, bans for certain revive-related gobblegums, faster zombie spawns after capturing zone completions, and more. You're also going to see a new LTM of the Abomination Challenge, which is on a cel-shaded version of Liberty Falls, where you have to contend with Mo, the Abomination, who is in the church. When opened up, he's on the hunt. So your objective is to either seemingly avoid Mo as long as you possibly can and outlast the zombie hordes, or take him out, which, if you let him go, exfil is disabled the entire time he's alive, so you do have to deal with him at some point. You'll also have modifiers where rounds turn faster, additional enemy types like amalgams, doppelgasts, elder disciples, shock mimics, toxic zombies, and a disabled amount of features like save and quit and the Easter eggs, rampage inducers, and few gobblegums are all going to be hindering your gameplay in that aspect, making it a bit more challenging. But it sounds like an interesting twist on zombies, and honestly, with the inclusion of the other zombies types, might not be half bad for camo grinders out there if you haven't finished Nebula. But that's the kind of gist of that one. And then finally, Starting Room is going to be taking after the Moon startup sequence, where your goal is to just simply survive as long as you can. You have some modifications to this mode, like if a machine or feature, like a perk machine, Pack-a-Punch, or Dur Wonder Fizz, are in the starting zone, they will appear, but if not, they will not be available. Fire sale power-ups will no longer drop randomly from fallen enemies. Random perk power-ups have also been added to drop in place of that, and door buys and the exfil are disabled, so you gotta go until you drop. So a few fun sort of modes coming to zombies, but at the same time, nothing really large. This was a relatively off season for zombies here, unfortunately, where it already been confirmed that Season 5 will include the final zombies map of the year. So in a few weeks' time, you will end up seeing another zombies map and some more tangible content there, but for now, still kind of filler content. For Warzone, you're going to have a few new core gameplay features. You're going to have the Carrick Package streak coming into play. You're going to have the Door Barricade field upgrade. You're going to have the Hand Cannon streak. All of those coming into Battle Royale and Resurgence. No longer just Plunder and Clash. You're also going to have the Search and Destroy contract, which is a contract you can plant a bomb on a buy station instead of buying items, though it will mark that buy station. So if players are in the vicinity and can come and defuse it, they'll get a free fire sale out of it. You're also going to see the Loot Master perk coming into Resurgence and Plunder only. So this will allow you to get more loot from supply caches. So in Resurgence, it can help you out, but it's not going to be something you have to contend with in like ranked play for either Resurgence or Big Map, or just in Big Map in general. You're also going to see a cell-shaded variant of Rebirth Island with Season 4 Reloaded, where, coming back to that discussion about the wall runs being lost in Fringe, I think this would have been a perfect time to bring back the Heavy Metal Heroes mode from Blackout. The cell-shaded version of that Blackout map, and having the boost mechanics back, sort of mini jetpacks that you could easily have done that with this again, especially given we saw those leaks that showcased we have those mechanics for whatever reason in the game files. As for modes, you're going to see Havoc Royale, which is basically just another crazy modifier stuff for Warzone and things alike. Resurgence Casual is going to be introduced at mid-season, and you're going to have ranked play Resurgence as well. Though one big thing to note with that is that it's not going to take away the big map ranked. Both of those are going to live simultaneously and be sort of ecosystems for whatever type of player you like to grind out as, whether it be big map or if you like the Resurgence ranked more. There was a sort of discussion as to why the solo playlist since launch of Season 4 has been a casual mode, where they typed up this huge novel, but to sum it up, they said, over time, the data has shown that standard solos has underperformed compared to other playlist options, ranking the lowest of all 20 modes this post-launch that we've seen across those like core modes. They thought that with the success of casual quads, that solos would be an easy way to fix that. Their learnings out of it, they said 3 times more players jumped into casual solos compared to standard solos, that queue times, ping stability, and other matchmaking metrics saw notable improvements, and that the mode was popular with both existing and returning players. So this I have some thoughts on, but just in like the interest of like just keeping this talking about the content coming up with the reveal here and keeping it focused to just talking about the new stuff, I don't want to dive too far into this, but it just seems like this was a problem of their own engineering, that they swung the complete opposite end of the pendulum shift here to try and overcorrect perhaps. But I mean, the biggest argument you'll probably see out of that is that queue times, ping stability, and other matchmaking metrics saw notable improvements. Well, yeah, you saw those improvements because you're taking out the skill-based matchmaking part. You're loosening it to a severe degree instead of just loosening the matchmaking parameters so you can play real players for solos. You are removing real players and putting bots in, which then, of course, naturally, because there's not as many connections to have to sift through, and also the fact that they're bots, they're not going to have the skill attached to them. It's not something that it ends up stressing those network factors. But I digress. It's not a different time for a different place discussion, but anyways, the last thing we'll talk about here are the events. There were 2 listed, the Beavis and Butthead event and the COD Tunes event. The Beavis and Butthead event is going to be the premium event. There's going to be another paid track of content along with a free track, likely an XP progression associated with it, with the Olympia being that mastery reward for the free track and the Butthead Operator being the premium reward for the paid track. The COD Tunes event, there's no details on if this will be a challenge versus XP based event, but what you'll be able to unlock is the TR2 CQB special weapon attachment, a themed blueprint, and a weapon camo, or 2 if you have Black Cell again. So unironically, just for the camo, I'm more excited for that event than the actual sort of marquee event they're having for Season 4 Reloaded. Strangely though, no dates were listed for either of these, though we do know the season goes until August 7th. So we still got a month and a few days in change once this update rolls, around 5 weeks it seems like with that. So my guess is we see 3 weeks and a 2 split for the time frames of each, with 3 weeks being that premium event, the Beavis and Butthead one, and 2 for the COD Tunes event, but we'll have to wait and see. Overall, frankly, I'm honestly not super impressed with this update and what we see upcoming. Yes, Season Reloaded updates are usually the sort of lesser of the 2 offerings for a season, but I mean, this one doesn't really have anything that really draws me in to be like, I'm gonna grind this out this season. Actual content offering seems to be a little bit lackluster. Like, you have 2 weapons, none of which really appeal to me all that much. You got a few modes and a map for both face-off and 6v6. Zombies barely has anything. Warzone has a few gameplay items, and that's about it. But I also I'm a little off-put by the fact that they were doing this Beavis and Butthead event and they marketed it so much before the actual seasonal reveal. That was your first impression of the seasonal update, and that in and of itself is kind of irritating to me, just because I don't personally care if we have wacky skins. I really don't. But my slight annoyance with this comes down to the fact that they made this big grand statement of, we hear your feedback on the skins, we hear your feedback on these events, we're going to try and tone it down and make adjustments to make it a little less crazy. Like they did that around the Verdansk return, all for them to just sort of double down and do even more now that this is out there. Like, I get, yes, 90s cartoon and everything, but like people were having issues with the thematics and the aesthetic of the game and the way that it was going. So you double down on it? I don't know, I feel like the old guy yelling at the cloud, but just like, stick to what you say for once, you know? Like, I have zero issue with the skins if you want to do it, but just like, don't bait and switch like that. Or hell, at least offer more sort of grounded or milsim stuff in addition to what we see. Try and balance it out a bit. I personally, thinking about that recently, I don't understand why that's such a problem. I mean, try to keep some of that identity. I get it's post-launch, it's not the marketed stuff you sold in the box, but like, wouldn't you think shop bundles and events for fans that want both the wacky stuff and the stuff that's a bit more grounded? If you did both of those, wouldn't you make more money? Like, wouldn't that just make sense if you sell to both audiences instead of just one? I don't know. I feel like, again, the old man yelling at the clouds. End of the day, I'm not really going to care about it too much. And if I'm not caring about it too much, the biggest thing that I can do is just not play and not give them my playtime. So like, I don't know, man. It was something that I was hoping for a little bit more out of the season, but it is a season reloaded update, no less. So let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of what we see here out of this? Are you liking the sound of season 4 reloaded? Gonna kind of pass until we see what season 5 has. Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. I'm probably gonna be grinding Dune Awakening, but that's just me. So drop your thoughts, drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure to subscribe for more Black Ops 6 and other FPS coverage. I'd love to have you in the community, but for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care, and peace.